We're very fortunate because we got a special guest right now on the phone, former UFC heavyweight champion Tim Sylvia. Now, a lot of guys from South Florida like this guy. He's an old country boy, and he's a big dude. So I'm glad to have him back on the radio.
Well, let me say just a couple things. He's been fighting since 2001. He has a professional record of 30 wins and only 7 losses. Of his wins, 19 of them came by knockout or TKO. We'd like to welcome former UFC heavyweight champion Tim Sylvia on the show. Tim, are you there?
I sure am. What's up, guys?
Hey, Tim, we really appreciate you taking time to join us here. In knowing you were going to come on the show, I wanted to say, hey, let me look at who this guy has fought. And you know what? I was really impressed to see some of the opponents you faced, both with victories and with defeats, in the sense that really up until the last couple of defeats you've had, your losses came to really solid guys. I mean, Frank Mir, Andrei Arlovsky, Nogueira, Fedor. Nobody could fault you for those kinds of losses. My understanding is you're looking to get back into the UFC. Is that where you're at this point?
Yeah, definitely. I coming up upon 40 in the next probably 4 years, so time to think about retiring, and no better place to hang up my gloves in the UFC, when I'm finished.
Well, I did get a chance to see your video clip where you were talking to the fans to send a Twitter message to Dana White to bring you back to the UFC. And you know what? After watching that and looking at your record, you know what? I'd love to see that happen, because I do think, obviously, there could be some real interesting matchups they could put you in on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a bunch of guys in the UFC right now that I believe I would destroy. So, and I think it makes great matchups and great fights for fans to watch.
Now, for you, looking back over the last couple of years, what was for you the low point? Because you left the UFC at back in 2008, and then
sure. I don't know.
It was 2000. It was actually February of 2008.
Then, I mean, was the Ray Mercer fight the toughest loss that you had to deal with?
I don't even know. I mean, it was just a stupid loss. I went in there and didn't take him seriously and didn't take the fight to the ground. I tried to stand up with him, and it was just a stupid mistake on my part. If I had to do it all over again, I'd go in there and take him down and smash him, and we'd be done with it. I'd never hear the name ever again.
Yeah. And that was the thing
trash talk
that surprised so many of the fans, because we really thought that, hey, this is one where Sylvia's just going to walk all over this guy. So I think that shocked a lot of us. Do you have anything on the horizon in terms of where you have any fights set up, or are you still just kind of?
No, I don't have anything scheduled at the moment. I get a great manager, so once I say, hey, give me something in 3 weeks, I'm ready, he will. I'm very lucky that way. Money Cox is still managing me, so there's always fights out there for me, and even if I don't get back in the UFC, I'm still going to fight. I enjoy it. I love to fight, so I just think that that's kind of where I belong right now. I've done so much for the UFC in the past, and it's the best organization there is in the world. I mean, let's face it. They have all the best fighters right now, and I want to be one of them.
Tim, with a lot of fighters that looking for a rejuvenation in their career, do you find that staying with the camp is you've been with Miletich since the beginning? You find that staying there is a help, or do you think there's something that you read all about these guys that move on to a new camp and then back and forth? You've been with Miletich, so is that an advantage to you? Do you think to been there since the beginning?
Well, I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but the last couple of years I've been traveling. I've been holding camps in Indiana and up in Wisconsin. Indiana with Team Wolfpack, and I've brought down Sean McCorkle to come work, and we have gone out to work out with Madrion. And when I go to Wisconsin, Ben Rothwell and I work out together and stuff. So I actually have to travel to get some quality opponents, training partners and stuff like that. I brought in Maurice Jackson here to Iowa for a couple weeks to train with. He's out of Extreme Couture. He's like 6'10", 280, 30-0 kickboxer. So, I actually have to do a lot of different things now. It's not just, solely with the military camp, because all the heavyweights are left. I'm the only heavyweight left there now.
Do you feel in the future that when you go back to the UFC, and we're hoping that you do, who would be some of the guys that you want to stand up and bang with? That's what I want to know. I want to know who you got your.
I want to fight Judge Congo, Stephen Struve, Dave Herman, Warcraft. Pat Barry is one of my good friends, but man, we would put on one hell of a fight. I mean, we really would put on an awesome fight, because we've had some sparring matches that were just epic. People were like, wow. I wish, people would pay to see that, so that would just be an awesome fight.
Well,
obviously I'd like to get my vengeance against Nogueira and Frank Mir, especially if Nogueira ever comes back after the outbreak that Mir is notorious for doing.
Sure. Well, I do like the suggestions you made there, because I think all of those would present really good matchups. But I know another fighter that you faced 3 times has had his ups and downs since leaving the UFC. What are your thoughts about Andrei Arlovsky?
Well, we tried to, him and I are both with Pro Elite now, and him and I won our last 2 fights with Pro Elite, so I tried to get the matchup, but they won't take it. His camp is afraid to fight me again.
Ah.
One thing I have to say about your career over the years, it is probably one of the best heavyweight careers. It's also been one of the longest term careers of a heavyweight, and still be functional. We're seeing a lot of the older fighters going by the wayside, and you're still basically ready to go. I mean, and I've seen you recently on some of the smaller fights, and you don't look like you've dropped any of your skill. In fact, improving is what I would see. And I mean, you agree with me on that, Sean? I mean, definitely. And one thing I do have to ask you, though, I mean, do you feel that the Superman can jump back into the UFC's heavyweight contention for a title shot?
I do. I really don't see a problem with that at all. But I was telling, I did an interview earlier today, I don't give a shit about titles anymore. I've won it 5 different times.
Sure.
With the UFC, no one in the UFC has done that except for Randy Couture. So once all these boys that are in the UFC now, and supposedly the deeper division, want to do something that I've done, then maybe we'll do it. But I just want to get back in the UFC and fight guys. I love to fight. I love to fight at the highest level, and I'm not asking for title shots. I don't care, but I've had more. I think I've had more title shots than any heavyweight in the UFC. There's guys that go their whole career and don't even get a title shot. I don't alone win it. So I just want to get in a fight. That's all I really care about. I know I can sell tickets. I know there's a lot of fans out there that want to see me fight. The underground's gone crazy. My Twitters are going crazy with people, just saying they want to see me fight and stuff. So all the YouTube videos I've been posting and stuff, I get nothing but, great comments. So I want to prove to the fans and in the UFC that that's where I belong.
Sure. Now, with you getting a little older, is it harder to make the cut down to 265?
No, I just made it back in November. It really wasn't hard at all. I've had tougher moments in the UFC making 65 than I did this last time. Getting older, it's easy. I've been doing it long enough. I know I can do it. It's just the ways to do it and stuff like that.
Well, you know what? We really appreciate you coming on the show. We really are going to encourage our listeners to get out there and send a tweet to Dana White and let him know that bringing Tim Sylvia into the heavyweight mix would be a good thing. It's
definitely. You got to tweet Dana and Lorenzo. I think Lorenzo's only got 80,000 followers. Dana's got 2 million, so he probably never even sees his tweets. But I'm pretty sure Lorenzo's seen him. Joe Silva, he needs to see him and stuff like that.
Well, it would be fun to see you back into the mix, and it's very disappointing that Strikeforce has kind of dismantled their heavyweight division, because that would be an organization that would be almost like a retooling if they still were having a functioning heavyweight division. But we're definitely going to put a call out to get the listeners to tweet Dana and Lorenzo and see if we can do something to get you back into the UFC, because I do think that there's guys out there who would make a great challenge. And we want to say thanks for taking your time to give us a call, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the ring in the future. And we look forward to actually seeing some hands raised here and there, so you got some wins under your belt. And
right on, guys. I appreciate it. Make sure you guys follow me on Tim Sylvia MMA at twitter.com and check out my fan page on Facebook.
Absolutely. Thanks again for giving us some of your time, Tim, and we wish you the best and look forward to seeing you fighting again in the future.
Right on. Thanks, guys.